well, the middle-aged generation, they weren't allowed to study foreign languages during the war. And so now, after the war, all the lucrative jobs are kind of overseas, and they don't know any of the languages. So they came to our school. That's how I got in touch with some of these guys. They came to our school, and Mr. Kobayashi, our principal there, he said, "Oh, I know just the one for you. If you want to learn English and to be able to get a job overseas, I will give you Father Mertes. As he is from Chicago, he talks quick. If you can keep up with him, you will do well." He came and we worked together, and then he called me up one afternoon in school. He said, "I am very happy." He said, I have gotten the job. I'm going to California." And I said, "Oh, that's wonderful. Congratulations." And he said, "Oh, I would like to celebrate with you. Please come to the International Hotel in Nagoya," which is quite expensive. And I said, "Oh." So we went there. I went there, and he was there with one of his friends, and they had been drinking before I arrived, and they have a very low tolerance for alcohol. They get red like a beet, and they get a little, well, he passed out. Anyhow, he said, I have never eaten meat. I'm a good Buddhist. I have never tasted meat, but today I will taste meat. We will order steak." And I said, "Oh God, I couldn't afford it. It cost about $40 for a little steak like this." So I said, "Fine." So anyhow, he ordered it to the waiter, and they brought a nice soup. At first, I love the Japanese soup, and then he said, "Kanpai." He was holding up a glass of beer with his friend and me. Kanpai means cheers, and then he passed out. And so his face fell on the table, and they brought the steak, and so his friend said, "Oh, we cannot waste this. We will eat, and we will take his share too, because he does not need it. He's asleep." And I didn't argue with that. So, but the poor man, he still didn't eat steak. He didn't eat meat all that time, and it never referred to that. If something embarrassing happens, such as that you never refer to, say, "Oh, Tanji, remember when we were to have that dinner and you passed?" Oh, no, you never say that. You see, but don't see. And there were 4 of us American students, and we were in a big room with the teachers there. We were teachers, and so we would talk back and forth about ourselves, kind of freely about our observations of Japan. And this guy next to us there, he taught, I think, mathematics, and he never spoke to us except in Japanese. So we thought he didn't understand English, so we were quite frank sometimes. And then one time they had a party for the teachers, and we were there, and he came up, and he was sloshed, and he said, "Oh, my big tomodachi, my big friends, you know." And then he said, we looked, and they said, "Well, you must come to my house sometime and look at my collection of English works, English and American authors." And first of all, we were astounded because you're never invited to the home. If it's very nice, there's being ostentatious. And if it's not so nice, it's below par, then they lose face. So they go to a neutral place, to a restaurant. So we were invited to his house to examine his collection of English and American authors. We were astounded, which we did. And then the next day, we were in class again, and he was at the next table, and we said, "Oh, Mr. So-and-so, we enjoyed your collection, seeing your collection. We were very honored also to come to your home." And he didn't acknowledge. He talked only in Japanese again. And we asked the headmaster there, what's the matter? He said, "Oh," he said, he knows English very well, but he said he didn't want to speak to him in case he makes a mistake, then he loses face. And then he said, and he would not refer to, he does not, well, he remembers that he offered yesterday for the thing, but that was not, that shouldn't be. So they have many strange things like that in their character. They keep respect for you. Like if you stumble or something, they don't make reference to that. Or if you're having hard times, they help you in a very indirect way. They could never give you some money or clothing if you're hard up. They do it in an indirect way. They ask you, it's like they're doing you a favor. I have so many sweaters, I don't know where to store them. We had a case like that. A kid in school was finding a hard time, and his mom was a widow, and he couldn't always dress adequately. So we asked the headmaster, could we give him something? Oh, no, be very careful. But ask his mother, say, I have so many things here, and I don't have space for them, or I have no need. Do you know of anybody, a poor family, who could use this? And so she will accept it, but her pride has been kept, you know. It's very, very delicate with your feelings. And there are many examples like that. They were wonderful. And we had another one. He was falling asleep in class all this, and he told the headmaster, he's always sleeping. What can we do? You know, just scold him, or what's the reason? He said, no. He said, again, his mother is a widow. Many of their dads were killed in the war. And he said he has to come early in the morning. She's a salesperson for kimonos, and she's traveling around all that. He's not there. He has to fix his own meals, and he gets up about 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning. He fixes his breakfast and his lunch. They call it a little bento, a little lunchbox that he takes along, and he has to take 2 trains to come to school. And so he does, and then he does his homework and the chores in the night. So he's really exhausted, and he's not getting enough nourishment. So he said, we were starting a garden in our backyard, and he said, you are creating a garden there. He says, why don't you ask him to help you to put that garden? You don't understand how Japanese gardens should be. So, which is not true, but so ask him to come, and then keep him there over the noon hour or the supper time. And they say, oh, it's time to eat. Would you join us? Would you help us? So this way, he's getting male companionship with us, and he's accepted, and also he has his nourishment, and his pride has been helped. He helped us, those poor foreigners, make a garden, you know. So I mean, it was a wonderful thing. You have to get onto that, though. A lot of people make mistakes when they go over there. They think they're in the same proceedings as in Western mind. They're completely different in their attitudes. Just like over here, if we have a grievance, we strike. Over there, if they have a grievance, they don't strike, they overproduce. Because the neighbors think, look at these people, how devoted they are and hardworking and laboring for this man, and he does not give them a just wage, or he doesn't give them a demand. So he lost face, and in that way, he eventually comes around because of peer pressure or sociological pressure, you know. And if they haven't lost over here, we would lose production. We go on strike. Over there, they haven't lost anything, but they've gained their point. So we could make use of that, you know.